Hello and welcome to the Light Winds podcast, where we share testimonies of the light triumphing over darkness, impart the wisdom we learned from those fierce spiritual battles, and turn all of that pain into purpose for God. I'm your host, Elle Angel, and today I am interviewing Jose Pereria. Jose was wrongfully detained and held captive in Venezuela for nearly 5 years, from November 21st, 2017 to October 1st, 2022. Pereria was one member of the so-called CITGO-6. His only crime was that he was an American. Before he was taken hostage, Pereira spent 35 years as an oil company executive and CEO of Citgo Petroleum. After the U.S. government orchestrated his release, Jose turned his focus to advocating and supporting hostage families during similar nightmares and broken processes. His experience made it clear that what he survived can help others that are struggling to be able to overcome, thrive, and succeed in any circumstance. He now speaks to spread a message of resilience, hope, faith, and survival. Oh my goodness. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
By the way, you are Elle Angel. I'm Jose Angel. So we have
perfect. We're like family. I'm really, really looking forward to hearing more about this. So can you tell us what life was like before this big 180-degree life change that you had?
I always mention that I did my long career, more than 3 decades career in the oil and gas. I'm Venezuelan born. I was born in Venezuela, and I began my career in Venezuela in the 80s. And in the 80s, the oil and gas company, that is PDVSA, the national oil company of Venezuela, was the fifth oil and gas company of the world. So it was in the top 5. And I began my career there, and I began to work in all the international area of the company. I was always assigned to international projects during my whole career. I did my whole career working with joint ventures of the company, representing the company with other companies all over the world. Japanese company, Italian companies, American company, British company, Norwegian, French, Chinese. So at the end of my career, in the last maybe 15 years, I was assigned here to the U.S. I live here in Houston, to Citgo Petroleum, that is that U.S.-based affiliate here in the U.S. of PDVSA. And I was appointed as the CFO, and at the end of my career, I finalized being the CEO of the company in 2017. So my life before this was very successful. Very successful. My career ladder was always climbing. I did a great, successful career, and I was thinking that I was having like my perfect life. But that year that I was appointed CEO was, I believe, the worst year ever of the company, because maybe the people doesn't know that context, but Venezuela today is under a communist regime, and the communist regime was going really bad, was ruining the economy, the country. So there was begin to be a big diaspora of Venezuelans all over the world. Today are more than 8 million people that left the country. And the U.S. government that was at that time here decided to that regime that had to finish. So because there was really having a lot of issues there, and they began to impose sanctions to the country. And they did an oil embargo. And for us was a big nightmare, because, as I said, Citgo was the U.S.-based company of PDVSA, and we bought crude from them to the feedstock to our refineries. And now we're in the middle of this political battle. So I decided, I talked with my wife, and I said, mommy, I don't like this. I'm going to get retired. So that was my thought at the end of 2017. I went through to talk to my boss and tell them that I I had already 35 years that I wanted to get retired. Back and forward, at the end, he accepted me the retirement, but he told me to give him 4 months to find my replacement. So I flew back here to the U.S. That was October 2017. And coming back to here to the U.S. from Venezuela to here, I received a call from the people of PR of my company. And they told me that there was a big summit that was being carried out, and I needed to go to the closing of the summit. I was the CEO. So I asked about, the topic, etc. And they were going to bring a speaker to close the event. That speaker resulted to be, there is a movie that Tom Hanks did called Captain Phillips. I don't know if you recall the movie. Okay, yeah. The real guy, the guy of the story. So this guy was being held hostage by so many pirates because he was a captain of a big oil bunker. So he does his speech about how you can navigate turbulent waters in the life. He was using the metaphor of what happened to him. And I began to ask him, wow, man, well, what a journey. And I remember he told me that everybody has inside that inner force, all of us, because we are creators of God, our son of God, and that force comes from God. Well, what you have to do is unleash it. And I remember that that message really resonated to me. I didn't know why that guy gave me the message, but the truth of the matter, that 1 month after, the situation happened to me. So that guy was literally an angel giving me the message.
Wow.
It was like an angel giving me the message to be prepared what was going to happen to me. Because one month after, I was in a movie with my wife here in Houston, and I received a call from my boss asking me to go to a business trip the day after to Caracas to make a presentation. And I didn't see nothing wrong, to tell you the truth, because we were used to that type of thing that they called me. They had to go to the board to make a presentation. And I had a corporate plane, so I took the plane, flew to Caracas, made the presentation, and came back. So it was very, very common for me to do that.
Yes.
So I told my wife in the middle of the movie, by the way, what was the world premiere of Superman? Because I'm a big fan of Superman. And I told my wife, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to come back tomorrow. We continue the movie. In 2 days, I was 3 days to the Thanksgiving. My sons were coming. I was preparing the Thanksgiving. I was preparing my vacations, and I was preparing my retirement. Mm-hmm. Nothing happened because the meeting resulted to be an ambush. Done by the Venezuelan government, and we were accused to be American spies.
So, okay, hang on 1 second before we get there. So you're in the middle of a movie, you're watching Superman with your wife, you get a call saying that you have to go do a basically routine presentation, which is very normal for that period of time. You're at this point in your life where you're planning your retirement. You have Thanksgiving in a few days. You know that you're going to be back really soon, even to finish the movie. And so you leave. Now, you said that. So was it not? It was not a meeting. It was planned. It was a planned ambush.
No, it was not. No, was not planned. We were was November. Typically, the corporation November is budget season. So there was. They said that there was a big budget meeting with all the corporation, and we were by that time revamping a refinery in Aruba, in the Aruba Island. So Citgo was revamping a refinery. So they were asking me to go to present the project. So, I didn't see nothing wrong. It was really normal course of business. And the funny thing is the business happened, that the meeting happened. I went to the meeting. Okay. It was a very big meeting because Today, there was a combination of real situation and the government took advantage of the situation. Because what they wanted to do was create the noise, because they wanted to have the attention of the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. government was already imposing sanctions and had done an oil embargo, and that was hitting hard that regime. So they needed something, and we were dual citizens. I flew with my 5 top executives. I was the CEO, and they were the 5 vice president. So we were 6. That's why they call us the Citgo 6. That's the name that the press put it to us. The Citgo 6. That's where the name comes from.
I see.
And I do the meeting. I go to there's a very big meeting room in the PDVSA headquarters. There were almost 1,000 people in the meeting. Big crowd. I'll do my presentation. And it was funny because the people, I saw standing ovation. Everybody begin to, hey, you're doing great. And I begin to think, wow, see what a way to finalize your career. Because that was my last meeting. I was finalizing my meeting with the standing ovation in a big crowd. And everybody, giving their best thoughts in my new career path, because I was planning to be a consultant. And so I felt like a hero, Mm-hmm. And a few minutes after, I saw 20 guards coming with I always say that they use like a Robocop outfit, and they use some mask. They are very scary. That is the counterintelligence police of that regime. It's called the DGCIN, the Dirección General de Contrainteligencia Militar. DGCIN. It's a kind of Praetorian Guard that these guys have in Venezuela. And they accuse us to be American spy. They had committed corruption, embezzlement. They put us handcuffed. And few minutes after, we were in national TV announced by the president of Venezuela that they had captured a 6th American spy, and we became the wars of the villain. So that's why my book is called From Hero to Villain. That's the name of the book, the From Hero to Villain. Because 1 minute I was a hero, 5 minutes after I was the worst of the villain. So we were. If you go to Google, you will find he announced it, the president of the country announced it in national TV that they were captured the 6th spy that was, ruining the economy, and they accuse us of the most bizarre charge that you can imagine. Because the problem with this situation, and today, of course, I know what happened today because I know what happened. These type of regimes, they do this because sometimes they don't have tools to leverage the relations with a country. They're having problems. For example, Venezuela was having a problem with the U.S. It can be Iran having problem with Belgium, or it can be Myanmar having problem with France, or it can be Russia having problem with Italy. It's always that. So they take normal people that maybe with a high rank, because today I know several hostages, normally are businessmen, normally are maybe religious leaders, or could be some politicians, or maybe are environmentalist, advocates, people that have kind of high rank. They take you, they use you, they put you a false charge, they do a sham trial, and then they negotiate for you. So that's what happened with us. And that's why it lasted so much, because it began to be direct negotiation between two governments. And they begin to ask a lot for you. They begin to ask to get us released. They were asking to get sanction relief of the country, sanction relief of the persons.
Oh, I understand. Mm-hmm.
We're asking to get lifted the oil embargo. And then all these were years of negotiation. And of course, there was back and forth. The negotiation began to go so bad that the Maduro, that is the president of Venezuela, got so mad that he threw out the U.S. ambassador. So the U.S. ambassador was recalled. Up to today, there's no U.S. ambassador in the country. So there was no direct negotiation. So we really were left behind. So at the end, the U.S., what it did, they talked with the UN and who began to negotiate. Among us was the UN. So the UN had to intervene in our case. So this case, that's why normally when you go through this situation, this is something that is called the hostage diplomacy. And that typically, when you go to this, typically you stay 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. Can be more. Yesterday there is a journalist from here from Houston that has 12 years in Syria. Austin Tai. Yesterday he was his 11th anniversary yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I know his mom, by the way.
Wow. So what they did, so what you're saying in this case that they did was that there was a situation that they needed leverage for. They wanted to change the sanctions, and they wanted to, have some sort of leverage. So they took you guys, and there was a sham trial and put a lot of false allegations.
We went all the way to the trial. We went. Our case went to the Supreme Court. We went all the way to the Supreme Court. We stayed years in trial. By the way, the first 3 years we didn't have trial. We stayed 3 years without trial.
Well, what did you for 3 years? Like, what was that like? You went from hero and then put on national TV as a spy, being falsely accused as a spy, knowing that, what was it like knowing that all of the plans that you had were just not going to happen anymore? What was that moment like for you when you realized, okay, I'm not going to be going home today. I'm not going to be going home tomorrow?
That first day when they put us the handcuff. By the way, in my book, I narrated very, 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 very detailed. The review that I told this lady, she mentioned that she read that I did like a surgical laser-focused description of the moment. So, because I really tried to narrate with details how was the moment. But the point is that they took us, they put us handcuffed, they threw us in an armored truck, and we stayed like 12 hours going all over. I don't know where we were going until they put us in the final place. There was a dungeon, a military dungeon. During those 12 hours, I had a long time to think what was going on. And everything that was popping up into my mind was the speech of Captain Phillips. Mm-hmm. How you can unleash that unbreakable spirit that you have inside. So when I got to the dungeon with the 6, we were separated. They separated us. I was put in a place that they call the submarine. It's a confined space. And I saw the light the next 10 months.
You didn't see light for 10 months?
For 10 months. No light. The lights turned on all day long. There was no window, no fresh air, no air conditioning, no running water, no food. So I lost 100 pounds during the time. I was starving. So during that time, I went through a lot of things. My mind was all over the place. But there comes human nature, and there comes the power of God. Because when I begin to think that I needed to come back for my family, that I needed to really stay strong for my family, I begin to think in a different way. Even I was there in that moment, that the most dark moment that you can imagine in your life. I begin to think that I needed to come back to my family. And after 10 months, they said, we take 10 months, disappeared. disappeared, and I didn't know what was going on because I lost total sense of time. Now I know there was 10 months, but at the moment I didn't know how long I was there. So I received a phone call, and they told me that I was going to have 1 minute phone call, and it was my wife. It was my wife. And when she could talk with me, she told me that the U.S. government was working hard to bring me back, and they were okay. Then they were taking care of me because I began to receive some supplies. So I know that my family was sending me things because I began to sleep in the floor. At some point, I received a mattress. I began to sleep in a mattress in the floor, but in a mattress. They sent me some clothes. So I began to receive things that I was aware that my family was sending me things, but I didn't have no communication with them. After that time, maybe before the first year, my wife took the risk and she flew to Venezuela, and she had a 3 hour talk with me. She could talk with me. They allow us her, and I was scared to death, by the way, when I saw her, because I was so scared that they could take her. Well, nothing happened because this guy, because now I'm aware that now they were beginning to have conversation, negotiations. So they were like, tensing and forcing the situation depending how the negotiation was going. So after 1 year, because that day that my wife visited, she told me all the things they were doing with the U.S. government. And the press began to talk about us after 1 year, and began to do a lot of, pressure. There's where the name 606 came. Mm-hmm. And they began the six family, because remember we were six guys. The six family began to go to the press. They went big, they went big. I can tell you, I got surprised how big they were. They were all over the media that you can imagine. They were there. So the case began to pop up in the medias, and the government began to feel a lot of pressure. Both government, in the U.S. and the Venezuelan government, because remember we were the political pawns in the middle of the tensions. Okay, so after 1 year, one day they told me to grab my things, and I was put in a room with my other colleagues. So I saw them 1 year after. 1 year after, we were put together, a very tiny room, but now we're together. And that began to change the situation, because we were six guys all of us were top executives in the oil and gas. All of us had more than 30 years in the business. So we were really prepared to, scenarios and planning and stuff. So what we did, I always said that we did like a board. We got the six together, and we create something that I call the survivor plan. We did a survivor plan, and we stick to that plan during the next 4 years on a daily basis. We did it on a daily basis. And by the way, today my coaching program is based on that plan that we did in that moment, because if I could do it to survive there, you can do it to survive anything in your life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we stayed during the next 4 years, stick to that plan that being put together. We learned that the negotiation were trying to, we're going. It took 4 more years, but we're going. And they begin to relax the situation. They begin to allow us to have books. They begin to have food provided by our family. Mm-hmm. So my family decided that my eldest son, he flew and he moved to Colombia. And from Colombia, he began to send me food to Venezuela during the next 4 years. My son, wow. He stayed 4 years sending me food every week, because he's not I had died. And the way that logistic work was that he sending me on a weekly basis, a grocery for a week, and somebody cooked, and then they allowed them to send me the food every 2-3 days. So every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Saturday, I received supplies. And I had to, when they brought the new food, I had to return the trash cans. I began to smuggle letters inside those cans. I began to smuggle letters there 1 year after, and the letter began to go through, and my wife began to reply, and we created
Wow.
and we stayed doing it during 3 years. And my book is based on those letters. My book are based on those letters. So those letters became my memoir, and we did around 1,000 letters between she and me. 1,000 letters we could write, and it became a beautiful moment because I was excited every time I was receiving the food, not because of the food, it was because of the letters. And we created like a code to communicate ourselves, and everything is because of God. Everything. Today, I'm very, very clear that everything was happening because of God. Because part of the plan that we created was begin to do Bible studies in the night. So we begin to do Bible studies. Well, 5 of us, because one of my colleagues, he praised Buddhism. So we were 5 Christian guys and 1 Buddhist guy, but everybody was in the same. And we begin to do Bible study. We begin to read the Old Testament, the New Testament. We begin to analyze it. We begin to pray. We stay like 3 hours per day doing that. So that creates a lot of hope, a lot of, if you have faith, knowing all the tribulations, like Job or Paul, or Daniel, knowing how the prophets went through all their tribulations, their adversity, how they could overcome it. And that gives you another perspective of life. So we really, 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 that really changed our mindset. It was so powerful for us because the day I was released and came back, that I'm going to talk later. The first thing that I did after coming was going to the church. So I attended church service, and today I'm very connected with my church. Very, very, very. My wife and me do church service today, and well, my pastor, and that really changed the way to see things in life. So I went through a extreme situation, but I really discovered God there.
Jose, it just seems like I'm imagining, I'm imagining you being in that dungeon of a jail cell and being there for 10 months and then being there for years to come, and how God made his way through that darkness and gave you food, and clothes and love letters, like how he makes a way. He made a way for this love to come in and for this hope to come in. It just makes me feel like even in those really, really hopeless times in life where you feel like you're at a gridlock and it's a completely hopeless situation, this person's not going to change, the situation's not going to change, my financial situation is not going to change, that God has this way of making a way to bring hope, to bring his light, and that it took root in you guys, and you did Bible study, and it must have been such a scary situation to be in because your fate was not set. Like, you didn't know what was going to happen to you. You didn't know what the outcome was going to be. But that's one thing that stands out to me so much about your story is that in that really deep, dark, hopeless space, he made this way to bring love into your life, to bring hope into your life, and that it took root within you, and that he heard your prayers, and that you had this beautiful outcome of having your freedom again.
And there's several miracles that we went through. Well, the most important miracle was that we got released. Was something unimaginable. My first thoughts were really bad thoughts, because can you imagine being captured as American spy in a communist regime, how long you can stay there. So I was thinking like I will die there. And I began to have a lot of illness. As I said, I lost 100 pounds. I began to have bronchitis, pneumonia. I suffered scabies. I had 2 times COVID. I suffered a heart attack. So I went through a lot of situations. So I was really thinking that I was not going to survive.
How did they treat you? How did they treat when you had this? Like, were you treating yourself?
No treatment because the country was going bad. There was no food, no medicine. When I suffered the heart attack, there was a doctor that was in a jail. A doctor that was in jail. He was who gave me the first AIDS. So really, I survived because of God. I survived here because of God. Here, because the probability was that I had to die there. I didn't have no medical assistance, very lack of medicine. At some point, when they begin to supply me medicines, I begin to receive my med because I had a high pressure, blood pressure. I had and blood sugar in the blood, but a lot of things that I begin to treat myself. By the way, today I don't have nothing.
Oh my goodness, another miracle.
Today I don't have nothing. Okay, so I went to because you know why? The funny thing is that when they begin to provide me food for the next 4 years, the person that began to cook me, she cooked me with so much love and so much care. That was always healthy food. So I began to eat healthy food during years. So all my metabolism changed. Mm-hmm. So when I came, I was cured. No, all the AIDS that I had previously. That is
another miracle. Another miracle. Like you said, the odds were against you.
The people doesn't see the miracle. The people doesn't see the signs. But he's here. He's there. He's always with you. And today I'm very aware that everything was because God was protecting.
So the enemy wants us to believe that our situation is hopeless and that there's no way that God can make a way. There's no way that things can be changed and that God's abandoned us. He's forgotten about us. And we know that he's forgotten about us because of the horrible situation that we're in. Like, I know that the enemy tries to use these things against us. And I know that there are listeners today that are in those spaces. Mm-hmm. That think that they're alone and that God's forgotten them. But it's not the truth, because the truth is the word, and we know from the word that he doesn't abandon us, that there's no situation that he cannot move. There's no mountain that he cannot move. And I really believe with all my heart that your testimony is that you are living proof of that there are so many opportunities for you to die, to not make it, to be lost there, to still be detained there. There was a million other outcomes and not good ones. And you lived, you got fed, you got healed, you had physical healing in there. Like, come on, that had to be him. That had to be him. He's just, his hand is just so obvious in your story, Jose.
And there is a moment during my detention that, again, I give a lot of details in my book about this. We were like, I don't know, it was like the second year of detention, and we began to, no, maybe the first year, because there was a moment that we didn't have books, we didn't have absolutely nothing. And there was a general, because they had military political prisoners, so with us was a general. And this general, he could smuggle a small Bible, a pocket Bible. And by the moment we were all, it was after the first year that we were together with my other colleagues. So we had contact with other of the political prisoners that were there, because we worked with the political prisoners of Venezuela. Okay? So this general was a political prisoner from prison there. So he told us that he he could smuggle a small Bible. And we begin to, in the night, with a candle in a corner, read the Bible, like 6 or 7 guys. Cameras all over, so we put it in a place that the camera couldn't detect us. Okay? And we begin to have these Bible readings, and like some days after, one day they opened the door and it was one of the guards. He saw us doing that, and we really got scared because we thought that guy was going to punish us. You know what the guy did? He told us, no, continue reading the Bible and pray for me. He asked us to pray for him. And the day after, the guy took us a full-size Bible, and he told us, I got the authorization, you can read the Bible. And we begin to read that Bible in a consistent way, and more people begin to come and to come and to come. And at some point, that became like a church. Everybody was praying. It began to, all the light began to go. It was the sign of God. It was a sign of God. That.
So he used you as a way to bring light into this dungeon of a prison, to pray for even your guard. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So not only did he do all of these miracles for you, but then he worked through you to help to bring his light to other people that are there. So when you look back on your experience, hindsight is 2020. So when we look back, it's a lot easier for us to see reasons or to see purpose. Is there any purpose or purposes that you can see why God would have allowed something like that in your life?
Today, I'm very, very, very aware that God is using me. I decided to speak. That's why I decided to speak. That's why I decided to write my book, and that's why I decided to coach, because I found that this is something that really can help others, and I do church service. I'm now being trained in my church, become part of in the leadership group of my church, and I'm doing it in a very humble way. Even I come with a lot of experience. I'm beginning like in a scratch. Yesterday I have a meeting with one of my leaders, and she knows my story, and she knows that I have a lot of capabilities. I said, I'm here to learn. I'm a disciple. I'm here to learn. So I really believe that this my testimony and all that I went through, I can convey, sharing with others, helping others, and that can be even part of the evangelism to others, to bring more people to the church.
Mm-hmm. I think it would have been very easy to feel abandoned or to walk away from the faith during those times, and the fact that your faith was fortified, it was you had strength, and your faith has been strengthened as a result of the experiences is another miracle as well. And I think
we have course, as the Bible says, that you go through this situation because God is for you. And yeah, you said it very well, that you can walk away of your faith, but for us, we were fortified. Not only me, all of us, because the beauty of this, that we were all that 6 got fortified. At some point, I remember that we were so focused in this, and really the situation for us was a game changer. We began to see the things in a different way. We knew that where we were trying to have that best moment there, and we begin to, have this bond. And when we finalized reading the Bible and praying, we created like an anthem. We shouted out that we're gonna come back strong in soul, body, and spirit. And we went to the bed, and I slept like a baby. I can tell you, I began to sleep like a baby. I was I was 45. I knew that God was taking care of us. And I didn't know when, but I was clear that we were gonna go. And before 1 year before we were released, we received the first visit of the ambassador that the U.S. appointed to take care of a negotiation. That was the first physical visit he did to Venezuela. That day he visited us. So we had like a 2 hour meeting with him. And I remember that day I said, I'm gone. I was clear that I was gone. It took 1 year, but I was clear that I was going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind was so convinced that I was going to come back that even my wife, she sometimes, I began to have more talking with her. Now we were allowed to have more calls. I was almost talking every day with her. And I remember that sometimes she was down, and I was hearing her say, "Mommy, don't go down. I'm gonna go." And the day they opened the door was a surprise, but we were prepared.
Mm-hmm.
We were all.
Okay, I definitely want to hear about when they opened that door for you. But right before we get to that, I want to ask you, what do you think made the difference for you, whose faith was fortified, and for somebody else who loses the faith? How do you keep that and strengthen in that situation?
Well, that's a very good question, because it's something that I think is something that is very spiritual. Is magical when you have that faith. Your face is like a wall. Nothing goes inside. You repel everything because you are in God. You are with the faith. One day before we were released, one of my colleagues, he was one of the most positive of us. He was kind of the most positive of us. He was always cheering and laughing and making jokes. If somebody was down, he was always, And by that moment, the situation was more relaxed for us because the negotiation with the U.S. was clearly that they wanted to get an agreement. We didn't know what they're going to agree, but we knew that some moment they're going to get some agreement. Mm. They were having direct negotiation. So, as I said, we have more calls. We begin to get allowed to play domino with other of the cellmates. So now we're in the night doing a domino tournament. I remember I was with one of our colleagues playing domino, and I saw this guy that he was very positive. I see it sitting in a chair, and I saw his face. He was down. So I went there and I hugged him, and I said, "Hey, my friend, what's going on?" And he told me, "Jose, I'm sick and tired. I don't know how much longer this is gonna take." The guy that was the most positive guy that day, he was down. And I hugged him and I told him, "I don't know when, but we're gone, my friend. So don't lose your faith. We're gone." And we came the day after.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Right at the 11th hour. Oh, how often that happens where we lose our faith and we say it's not coming. And that, we just got to hold on just a little bit longer.
Yes. And it happened. That was like 9 p.m. in the night. They recalled everybody to go to their cells. We went to sleep and we got awake like 5 a.m. 6 hours after we were gone. 6 hours after we were gone.
Oh my goodness. What was that like when they called you? When they called you, were you expecting that was going to be the day? Did you know that was going to be the day?
That was a surprise. We were prepared for the moment, but we didn't know when it was going to happen. And there happened an event that maybe there are so many details in our case, but as I mentioned, we received the first visit of the ambassador 1 year before. So he began to come every 3 months. So the second visit he did was he visited us December 2021, and he came back in March 2022, 3 months after. That day, he met with us, and one of my colleagues, he was going in a very, very bad situation in his family. He was like wow, he was really getting a very bad moment. And everybody was aware of what was going on. So everybody was like feeling his pain, his suffering. So that day he told the ambassador that if he thought that we could get released. And he told him, no, my friend, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're close, but not there. But I'm going to try to stay one more day to see what I can do. The day after, he took that guy. He was released that day. In March 2022, the first guy of us was released. So we are 5. We stayed 5. And it took 9 more months for us to come. And in those 9 months, we begin to lose the faith.
Yeah.
Because we see the time passing and passing and passing. 1 month, 2 months, and then we would say, oh, this is going bad. Maybe that's going to take. And the day they opened the door for us was a surprise. So they opened the door and they said, hey, get dressed up that you're going to have a visit. We thought that there was an ambassador coming. That was what we thought, because he was coming every 3 months. So we got dressed up. We used to use a yellow uniform, and we joke, we call the minion uniform, They put the minion uniform, and we dress up in yellow, And he came the director of the prison, and he said, no, take out that uniform, put your civil clothes there, you're gone. And when I asked him what that means, and he said, you're free. So they it was a dramatic situation too, because they put it in an armored truck after some hours, after doing all the lab tests, medicine, whatever. And they put us to film a video that we were okay, we were happy, that they treated us very well, signed document, that, they did all this, all the things these guys does. So they put us in an armored truck, and we saw that we were heading to the airport. So now we say, okay, now this is happening. When we get to the airport, we go to the hangar. For me, it was really funny, the situation, because the hangar where we got, it was in the hangar of PDVSA, the PDVSA plane, the company where I came from. I flew in those planes all my life, so I recognize the planes. I came back in a PDVSA plane. I came to Venezuela in a single plane and came back in a similar plane from PDVSA. Yeah. So it was like a conclusion.
Full circle, yeah.
And when I was coming back, I remember when we landed here in San Antonio, Texas, in a military base. We stayed 10 days in the military base because they did a decompression program. And of course, all our family was there in the hangar waiting for us. And when I came back, I was the first that came from. I was going from the tarmac to the hangar. That I saw the silhouettes of the families. And my daughter, she told me that she saw me like I was coming from a vacation trip. And I told her that I really was on the flight. I was smiling because I was thinking, wow, you made it. It is that feeling of joy. You made it. And my daughter always tell me that she saw me like I was coming from a vacation trip. I went in a trip, and I came back in a trip. So it was a complete cycle for me.
Oh my goodness, Jose, what was it like? What was it like to see your family after you had been thinking about them for so long? Oh my goodness.
Well, the first thing that happened is that my grandson, he was born when I was there, and by that time he already had 3 years. And my daughter-in-law kept always showing me photos to him, so he recognized me, and he began to run to me, and he was who received me, like my grandson. I had the photo.
Oh, how
Yeah.
special.
I had the photo I'm gonna send it to you because that photo was put in there in the newspaper. Um, it became like the photo of the moment.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, what a moment, and how special that you got to embrace him. Like, just, I'm sure it's just so much more than words can say. I'm so struck by, okay, yes, I made it. You made it. You made it. But the mental fortitude, the faith that created in you, like, there, like I said, there was a lot of opportunities for things to go sideways for you, yes, but there were a million opportunities for you to go sideways mentally, for it to be so much strain that you just feel like you're going crazy, like anxiety, depression, all of the regular human emotions, but compounded with so much pressure. And the fact that you've come out of this by the grace of God and for the glory of God, I think, to me, it shows us that He can protect you. He can protect you in that. Like, in that time when you were in there, you didn't have access to a therapist every day. You didn't have access to, self-care and getting massages and getting all of that work done to make sure that, you're okay while you deal with that. It was the Lord. It was the wonderful counselor who was with you. It was Him who strengthened you in that fire. And so for anybody who's thinking, who's going through a really difficult time, and they're feeling like they're just mentally stretched, they're wearing thin, what you went through, and then you came out and you looked as though you were coming back from a vacation and you had real joy in your heart, is also a testimony to how God works in His strength, and how He can influence our mind and protect our mind even during such intense times in life.
That's totally correct. That's totally correct. And of course, today I'm so aware how He was always with us. Always. He never abandoned us. And we went through a lot of terrible situations, and He was always there. And with my family, because when I came back, I couldn't know the story of the other side of the coin, or what my family went through. Mm-hmm. He was always protecting my family too. This is the other side of the coin, the terrible situation, that because you're going through your situation, but your family also is going through that situation. So this was a total bomb in the middle of the family. But we're together. We went through it. And now, today I am a therapist, by the way. We became very good friends, by the way. Very good friends. But the beauty of everything is when you really find that everything has a purpose, that everything is part of a master plan that God has for you, that everything that you have gone through has a meaning, has a purpose. So when you discover all of that, I'm not going to say that you're happy in the situation that you went through, but you begin to get happy, the lesson that you learned, mm-hmm. the lesson you got from there. And I'm going to tell you something else, because after I came back, I have been discovering a lot of things. I discovered that we were supposed to come six months when we were detained, the first 6 months. There was a very, very high negotiation. There was almost a deal done the first 6 months. And for some reason, never happened. And you know what I discovered today? That was because God wanted us to go to the full process. Because if that didn't happen, I would not have my testimony. I will not be talking to you today.
And you know what, you say that, and I know that you're being truthful because I can really feel that peace that you have in that contentment, because it would be so easy, right? And like the enemy could be like, oh, what if it worked out that way? God must have, God let you go through that. And it's easy to focus on those regrets and stuff. But I feel your peace, Jose.
He put us the foolproof. We have to go to the foolproof. Okay. Now you have to go to the whole process. And we went to the whole process. If I come back 6 months after, I come back, nothing happened. I continue with my life. I don't know what will happen with me. So for some reason, today I had my testing. I went to that, I had my testing.
Okay, so you had further refinement that had to happen. You had to be in the furnace longer to refine, to purify, to sanctify, for more of him to come through you.
That's the will of God.
I like that. Because when you focus on that instead, then you don't have to worry about the what ifs or when am I going to get out of the furnace. Things are really, really intense right now, right? Like you can have your faith in the potter, right? Because you're the clay, you're his piece of pottery, you're his masterpiece, you are in the furnace, and you don't have to worry about when he's taking you out, because he's putting you in there for a purpose and for a specific process, and that no matter what, he's got you and he's going to take you out of it at the right time.
Yes. It's going to be at his time, not at your time. In the moment that he knows that, okay, now you're ready to go.
How do you not dwell on, well, what if this happened instead? What if I didn't go on that trip?
I'm not going to say that I didn't went to that. There are moments that we were thinking of that. I'm not going to say that I was always done. We had moments. We had a moment of that we have done. We had moments that we were beginning to, as I said, after the guy that came the first 3 months, in the following months, yes, I saw that we begin to have problems with the faith. We begin to have situations that we really thought that we were left behind. I remember that when Gustavo was released in March, 1 month after, we begin to have a lot of debates, internal debates. Hey, this can take longer. What if they decide to do this by pieces? Who is going to be the next one? So everybody was looking the other. Who is going to be the next one? That was the enemy putting in that test. Everybody was looking the other. Okay, what about if it's not me? What about if it's him? Our family begin to have that debate. Who is going to come after? If there's going to be somebody, who is going to be? I was having this medical issue. I remember the ambassador talking with my family said that if there's going to be another relief, I was going to be one of them because I was having medical issues. But I was thinking, okay, what happened with the other? But with nothing happened because all of us came at the same time.
Yes.
All of us came at the same time. And everybody came, and by the moment we came, we were all okay. I came, and the first thing they did, they made me full medical testing, all the things that, and the doctor began to discover that a lot of things were gone. After when I conclude that program in San Antonio, like 1 or 2 months after, I don't remember, I went to a big trauma center in North Carolina, and they did something they call the medical marathon. 1 week full medical marathon. When I finalized all the marathon, it was psychological, medical, and spiritual healing. I remember that when I concluded the program, the director of the program, he talked with me. And he told me, hey, Jose, I'm surprised by you guys. I have been looking other cases in the past, but I'm surprised the way you handle this. And I told him that with these things, because common sense, really common sense. And when I was writing my book, I called him and I said, "Are you willing to be my prologuist of my book?" And today, my book he's the prologuist, and the introduction of the book is signed by him. So
Oh.
because I told him, okay, if you think of that, put it in my book, please. so he mentioned about how the human nature can behave, because today I'm really passionate about that. How when you're going to extreme situation in life, you can unleash that force, the power within that always is connected with God. And this is something that everybody has inside. Everybody.
So when you did the medical marathon, what was the outcome?
He told us that we were great.
Oh my goodness.
Not only that, I was having a problem in my spine because I suffer. I give spend hours. The thing I went there. I had a faint, and when I fainted, I had a problem with it because I dropped it. Then I began to have a problem in my back spine, and even they were thinking that I will need surgery. Everything was gone. Everything was gone. Everything was gone.
We think that we know and that we have the answers based on science, based on physics, based on what we know about our biology. God's like, yeah, I got this. Not only am I going to bring him out of this, not only is he going to score well on all of his tests, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I'm going to throw in a physical healing just to wow everybody for my glory. Oh my goodness. What a testimony all the way to the end and then some. The freedom, meeting your family again, the medical testing, and now he's done the prologue on your book, and now living out this beautiful purpose by coaching others and being an author. I am sure everybody listening to this is definitely going to want a copy of your book. Can you please tell them where they can grab a copy?
Yeah, I have my book in Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Lulu, Rakuten, Book to Digital, a lot of digital platforms too. But the most popular are Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And in my webpage is very easy. Jose Connect, period. Jose Connect, all together. Jose Connect, www.joseconnect.com. You go to Jose Connect, and the first thing that will pop up is all the links to buy the book. I have the Kindle version, the paperback, the hard copy. I have not done the audiobook. I'm gonna do it and I have it today in English, but I'm gonna do it in Spanish too. So I'm gonna do the Spanish version maybe in a couple of months. And as I said, my book is not only the compilation of the letters that I wrote with my wife, is the story that we're talking here. That I go in a lot of detail because when a situation happened, our case hit the press. There was a lot of noise in the media, but we were always mentioned in the press. 6 American citizens accused of spy in Venezuela. That's it. Go 6. Was a very headline. They never did that in the and neither the faces. Nobody knew who were the guys behind the 616. So when I decided to begin to talk, I put my face. Okay, I'm one of the 616. So now the people can identify me. So now this is my story, based because we were 6. The other guys, if they want to write their story, so I write my story based on the letters that I wrote with my wife. But the most important legacy that I believe that my book has is that that testimony, that life testament, that even you're going in any dark moment in your life, you can always survive it with the grace of God. Because that is the very profound reflection that I did in my book. During all these years of confinement, and after I came back, all my reflection have led me to a lot of conclusion that I powdered in my book. So that's the real message that I want to convey in my book. People, when they finalize reading the book, say, wow, if this guy went through all this stuff and he's here telling this story, anything in life, you can survive it. That's what I want the people to have. And that's the way I really think that I can touch souls. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I decided to so that's why I have so passion, and the people really read that book, because I believe they can help others.
Yes. And I definitely think that message was conveyed today. You were there for so long, and this was just a small snippet of your story. Of course, you can't go into all of the details of everything that you endured. Obviously, it was not a cakewalk. There was difficult times, even that first period of time that you spent in total isolation. I cannot even imagine what that would have been like. I'm so grateful that you are here today. I'm so grateful that you made it through, that you're sharing your testimony, that you're glorifying God, and that you've put it all together in this beautiful book. So for everybody listening, please go grab a copy of it, because I know that God did some amazing work through you. And when we read stories of like yours and hear these testimonies, it changes something in us. So thank you so much, Jose, for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Wonderful interview.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I pray that no matter where you are and what pain you're in, that you remember that the light always wins and that God loves you.